We have to do everything in our capacity to make sure that this relationship is severed, that it no longer exists. Because the blood of the Israelis is on our hands, not by choice, but by the collective nature within which our countries operate. So much of what is the problem is due to the lack of involvement that the average person has when it comes to the actual knowledge of what's going on in their country. And that includes their own backyard. But on an even bigger level, we are recognizing the collapse of empire because the rules do not apply to certain people. They're just made up. And if they are, they're not enforced. If they're not made up, they are enforced. They're just not enforced. And that's an example of what happened here. This is a very disturbing story that isn't getting a lot of play, but it's another prime example of exactly why we have to disintegrate this relationship. From the noticer, a pedophile from a prominent ultra-Orthodox Jewish family has been spared jail for raping a young boy in a Melbourne synagogue. So as we said, this has global reaching proportions that we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just the United States. This is in Aussie land. The Australians have to deal with this shit, which is why we were convinced that Bondi Beach was a false flag within itself. Now you get stories like this. Zev Serberansky, because he's definitely from the Middle East, 62, found guilty by a jury in December of abusing Manny Waks, the brother of a journalist, Avi Yemeni. Ain't that something? Colin, the article, if you please. Oh, he's a real winner, isn't he? Sure looks like it. A member of a prominent ultra-Orthodox Jewish family has been spared jail for raping a young boy in the Melbourne synagogue in the late 1980s. Isn't it amazing how long it takes to get any type of justice? And even then, you don't really get it. Zev Velvel Serberansky, the son of well-known Chabad emissary Rabbi Aaron Serebryansky, was in December found guilty by a jury of 3 counts of indecent assault and 1 count of sexual penetration of a child between the ages of 10 and 16. I can't do it, Jen. I can't do it. And faced the County Court of Victoria for sentencing on Friday. But despite his horrific abuse of victim Manny Waks, you shouldn't even say the kid's name, to be honest. Well, he's an adult now, but nevertheless, a former VP of powerful lobby group, the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, Sereberansky walked free from court after Judge John Kelly, fuck you, John Kelly, change your name. Honestly, whenever I see an Irish name that gives into this shit, just change your name. Seriously. You do not have the right to be Irish anymore if you conscript to this shit. Gave him a sentence of just 3 months, wholly suspended for 3 years. Judge Kelly took into account 99 days Sereberansky spent in jail in New York before being extradited to Melbourne in 2023, said he had to consider sentencing practices from the 1980s and noted a suspended sentence was not opposed by a prosecutor. Of course not. For Aussie Associated Press reported. He also determined Sereberansky, who had been on bail awaiting sentencing, was already rehabilitated. He was rehabilitated. Due to having no further convictions in the decades since the sexual assault. Again, no convictions. How do you know he didn't continue to do this? He just wasn't caught. Or that the people who knew that he was doing this always protected him. You know how long these sex trafficking organizations, these abuse of minors or children, do you know that it goes on for generations and no one talks about it? But we're talking now. told him, I do not believe you will reoffend. Oh, he's so sure of that. I saw what you said, Josie, and I would have to agree. This is a good one. When you think about why so many people who end up getting abused never say a word, it's because of this. What is the point of putting yourself out there if in the end there will be no justice? What's the point? Mr. Walks, the brother of Rebel News journalist Avi Yemeni, confronted his attacker in New York in 2017 and filmed Sarah Baranski confessing to the abuse and telling Mr. Walks he was infatuated with him and wanted to do what I thought you wanted. Yeah, that makes sense. Colin, the footage was played at trial, and Judge Kelly in sentencing referred to the comments as pedophilic justifications and called Sarah Baranski's offending an attack on innocence and attack on childhood. So then why did you let him go? You said you were only following your victim's lead. That is a transparently absurd proposition. Again, why are you letting him go? The trial heard Sarah Baranski followed Mr. Walks, who was aged 11 or 12, upstairs at the Yeshiva Center at St. Kilda East on the first night of the religious Shavuot festival, began groping him, and then led him into a women's bathroom, of course, where the rape took place. Mr. Walks was also abused by former Yeshiva school security guard David Cyprus, who was convicted in 2013 and jailed for 8 years for child sex offenses against 9 boys in the 80s and 90s. So let me ask you this. So they got this other guy who is probably not Jewish, and they put him away for 8 years, which again is not nearly enough time for abusing multiple boys. But this guy, because he's politically and religiously connected, is able to get off with a slap on the wrist. And people wonder why they think that there is a difference between Jews and everyone else with the idea of the chosen people. And they live by it. And they buy off the courts. And they do this relentlessly everywhere. This isn't something that's a one-off situation. Judge Kelly is culpable. He might as well have raped that kid himself. You are a witness to this crime. In an impact statement read in the same court in December, Mr. Walks said he was shunned by the Jewish community and forced to leave Australia after reporting the abuse, because of course he was. When Velvel sexually abused me at the age of 11 or 12, I was an ordinary child, the eldest boy in a large, ultra-Orthodox Chabad Jewish family, Mr. Walks said in a statement, which he also published on his website and read on YouTube. The first time Velvel sexually abused me was inside one of the most sacred sites in the Jewish community, the synagogue. It is our place of worship and spiritual connection. Our family's main synagogue was the Yeshiva Shul, which was part of Melbourne Shabbat's Yeshiva Center. Mr. Walks went on to describe how he struggled to deal with the effects of the abuse while receiving no help from the police or the Jewish community, and said he reported it to the Yeshiva Center chief, Rabbi Yitzhak David Groner. The rabbi indicated that he knew about some of it, but never took action. Shocking. Eventually, I became a full-time public advocate addressing child sexual abuse within the Jewish community. During this period, my family and I came under sustained attacks by some members of the Jewish community and even some of its leadership, primarily from the ultra-Orthodox Chabad community in Australia and abroad, though not exclusively, he told the court. Do you notice the connection here, ladies and gentlemen? This is universally known as a very similar situation that takes place within the Catholic Church when you report abuse done by the priests. This isn't, oh, we have to be on the side of the victims. It's how dare you mess with our special place, our private place. Satanic spawn, as they say. A Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse found in 2016 that victims of pedophiles at Jewish institutions in Melbourne and Sydney were let down by rabbis due to their adherence to the Jewish law of Mizriah. Is that it, Jen? Mizriah, am I saying it right? Which forbids informing on another Jewish person to a secular authority. Can't wait all day, Colin. Colin, if you're taking a leak, you got to let me know, brother. Colin, I'm still reading the story. All right, it looks like Colin decided to take a walk, so that doesn't help. But what it also shows is that there is no justice. There is none. Not for them. So now a lot of people are taking orders into their own hands. All right, we'll finish it out. Ultimately, after facing excommunication and even multiple violent attacks from within their own yeshiva Shabbat community, my parents decided to leave Australia and relocate to Israel. Wow. Soon after, my then wife, our 3 boys, and I followed suit. A Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse found in 2016 that victims of pedophiles at Jewish institutions in Melbourne and Sydney were let down by rabbis due to Mizriah, and which forbids informing on another Jewish person to a secular authority. So they fled to Israel. And again, no, Colin's fine. I'll let him out of the dungeon once I feel like it's, once he's worthy of it. Yeah, Jen, stop. You made your point. So what do we do? How do we deal with this? I don't really have a problem if people want to set up video taping at synagogues, wherever they go, especially ones that are pro-Zionist. I have no issue with that. And not only have we failed as a species, but we have failed to hold those accountable that will not see the separation of church and state and pay the price for it. But it's not just the church, it's the synagogue as well. So here's an example of what happened recently. I don't know the full context of this, but I know that this is a recent clip of a amateur video being set up outside of a synagogue. And you could see the reaction from the rabbi who didn't like it.
Me. You're the one on the corner. Why are you coming here?
No, I'm standing right here in front of your place.
Go across the street then.
No, absolutely not.
Go across the street.
No. Back up. Back up. Stay the fuck away from me.
Don't. Should I take your phone and call the cops?
You want to try and take my phone from me? I will kick the fuck out of you if you try to touch me, dude.
Screw you.
Yep.
Go.
Thank you. And here's the thing. Canadians generally aren't the most violent of people, but I like how he said, I am going to kick the shit out of you. And his response was, screw you. Yeah? At some point, people just have to not be nice.
Go away. This is private property.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
This is a fucking public street.
You're on a public street, but this is private property.
I don't care.
Nope.
We do.
Why do you?
Because it's our rights.
Yeah?
Yeah, your right.
You don't think this is my right?
Ours.
Neither does yours.
I said ours. The public.
Your rights don't infringe upon mine.
They don't infringe on us.
Don't
go away.
Me. Do not touch me again.
Go on private property.
I don't care.
We do.
Why do you?
Because it's our rights.
Yeah?
Yeah, your right.
You don't think this is my right?
Ours.
Neither does yours.
I said ours. The public.
Your rights don't infringe upon mine.
They don't infringe on us.
Don't
Go
touch
away.
Me. Do not touch me again.
Go away.
Don't touch me again.
Go away.
Don't touch me again.
Go away.
If you want to see how hard I can hit, touch me again.
Go away.
Fuck you.
Go away.
Do not touch me again.
Go away. You fucking asshole.
And that is exactly what should happen to every last one of them when they decide to fuck around and then they find out. They do believe that they're above reproach, and eventually they end up like that. It wasn't going to be so promised, but the whooping, that's what's promised. Do you know that one of the more common elements of these communities is incest? Now, I'm not saying that this is, siblings, but first cousins, that's common. They have been far too comfortable. They have been far too comfortable for far too long. That fist was promised 3,000 years ago, and he got it good. We only got to see part of it. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. But believe me, it's only the beginning. Because the more we work together, and as and Jen is in the background, so I'll mention this as I mentioned at the top. That old friend of mine who wanted to come on the podcast and share her thoughts about being a Zionist and why they are misunderstood, decided to message me again saying how disappointed she was that I wouldn't bring her on. And I feel like saying, to what end? Why would I bring you on? Do you not understand that Israel is a pariah state? And that, okay, fine. That would actually be more fun. I will tell her that she could come on, and I'm going to watch you destroy her in real time. Because this is somebody who was, I was good friends with her. She's a sweet girl. But you want to talk about somebody who comes from an extremely comfortable, affluent, isolated existence. And she is extremely pro-Israel. Like extreme. All you have to do is look at her social media. And as I said, the great noticing, yes, cognitive dissonance is a real thing, 1000%. We have got, and the other thing that I also want to show, because I want this to hit home for people to really understand. This issue, as I said, it's not a one-off. It's everywhere. Can you blow that up, Colin? And this is from the Times of Israel. This isn't from, this is from the type of publication that would want to protect this as much as possible. Melbourne Shabbat officials resign amid sex abuse fallout. 4 senior members stepped down after victims call for resignation of management in wake of 2011 scandal. This apparently is pretty popular. Member of prominent Shabbat family in Australia convicted of child sex abuse. 2 years after extradition from U.S., Belvo Surabaronsky, found guilty on 4 charges. Juries, 4 charges. He was found guilty on 4 charges of child sexual abuse, and they couldn't put him in prison? No. Nope. And the other two? Shabbat Oz child sex abuse scandal grows. Top Australian rabbi resigns over sex commission text. Meyer Shlomo Kluagant steps down after writing that father of abuse victims is a lunatic on the fringe. How about this guy? Top rabbi must quit. Well, I can't read his name, but it looks like Yosef Feldman. That's what it looks like. So as you can see, it's certainly a very handsome group of perverted men. I can't help but laugh at the name Shlomo. It's just Schmucko or... yeah, Schmucko is probably the best one.